Hi there, everybody. Fawny of Ravenwood here. I am your Christian mindset coach helping you to realize truth. Today, I am back with another message about kingdom spouses. Now, this is kind of a fun one. The Lord gave me some visuals to kind of go along with it. And I really hope and I'm praying that, that this comforts you, helps you to understand a little bit more about maybe what might be going on, and to pray into it. This word is not for everyone. Not everyone is on the same journey. This is a very, very, this journey is not for the faint of heart. Let me tell you, it just isn't. Wow. The things that we go through, the refining process of the Holy Spirit. They say that beauty comes from ashes, and I'm like, okay, well, you realize that means you've got to be burnt first, and that being burnt doesn't really feel good. But the Holy Spirit is a fire that does burn us from the inside out. He refines us with his refiner's fire, and in doing so, we realize truth. And in doing that, so kind of went off on a little side tangent there, but the main point is that this, you may or may not be in the season for this may or may not be a message for you. Take it to the Lord, get confirmation. This, in a lot of ways should just already be confirmation, should just help bring some clarity and understanding to some struggles that maybe you've been facing and going on. Because see, there was a part in my journey where, my kingdom spouse kept telling me that he felt that I completed him, and that, and then I just kept thinking about the world's way of thinking, the way that the world is like, that's not right. Like, you have to be one whole and you come together like that. Well, if you really, really look at Genesis, when God realizes that it's not good for man to be alone and that he needed somebody, first what he does actually is create some animals. And he's like, oh, look at Adam. He's alone. Let's give him some animals. So he gives him some animals. Adam names all the animals. And then after that, he's like, none of these are like me. None of these are a compatible mate for Adam. Like, Adam needs something else. Let's give Adam something else. So then after Adam has spent some time alone with God, after Adam has, gone to go see who his friends were in the wilderness, after Adam worked for God and gave him all the names, then God said, hey, you know what? I'm going to take a piece of you. I'm going to take your rib out of you. So he puts him to sleep, takes a piece of his rib out of him. So a piece of Adam literally is missing. And then he creates Eve. And what I love as a woman, what I love about this story is that women are literally the only thing made that's not made from dirt. We are made from flesh, from bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. We are made from man, where man was made from dirt, the creatures were made from dirt, everything was, kind of came up from. So it's interesting. I love that part about it. I digress. So what I'm saying here is that there legit is a piece of Adam that's missing. And in these kingdom spouses, these are like the Adams and the Eves of our present time right now, right? And so there's so many layers to this. So I just got to make sure I'm trying to stay on top and focused here. I looked at my shirt and I was like, thought about the garden again, and I got a little distracted from another message that I may be releasing soon. Another one about Adam and Eve in the garden. So anyhow, let's get back on track here. Holy Spirit, all of you, none of me. Okay, so what is happening is that it is okay for the man to feel this incompleteness, and it may be that once you've come in contact with each other, it's like there's this, almost for his whole life, maybe he's kind of sensed and realized something was missing, but it was like at that moment where you finally meet and then it's taken away, where you're like realized, oh, that's what's been missing. That's what I've been looking for. Wait a minute. Wait. And it's sometimes you don't realize it until that sting of like the tape being torn off. But then if you think about the other side of it, for Eve, nothing was missing for Eve. That's why for Eve does need to stand on her own. Eve needs to be able to be that helpmate for her husband. Oh my gosh, the Lord is speaking through me even more right now because he's giving me more. This wasn't even in my notes. So Eve is to be the helpmate for Adam, which means that Eve can't rely on Adam, but it is okay for Adam to rely on her because she is a part of him. There's a piece of him that's missing that only Eve can fill. There's a piece of him that only she has. So she needs to be fulfilled. She needs to be, and that's why this ties into even the other message of what are you doing in the waiting? Are you getting yourself ready? And that's what this course is going to be about that I'm designing. That's what even just all of these messages that I'm putting out about renewal of mind, fasting, rewriting triggers and trauma, all of these things are things that in the refiner's fire that God has got to strip away in order to purify this union, in order for it to bring you back together. Well, this is the beautiful, one of the things that I love about it, the visual aspect that God showed me about this, because it's what I feel from my side of it is that I feel a magnetic pole. I feel this like magnetic pole, like, you know how you get two magnets really close to each other, and then right at this moment where they're like, there's a point where they just can't stay apart anymore, boom, they're together, right? So that's like what's happening. We're out here, we're trying to get close together, but check this out. If those magnet pieces are gunked up and dirty, they're gonna not be able to fully, like, it's gonna cause problems. They're not gonna have that union to make the two one, right? One magnet, because now the two are one. Oh my gosh, he just told me that too. And so what he's doing in this refining is he's cleaning off these end pieces of the magnets, right? So he's cleaning off these end pieces of the magnets to bring everybody together. So we need to do the work. We can't just sit back and say, oh God, bring me my spouse. Oh, I'm going to pray for my spouse. But what are you doing about praying for yourself? Because women, we need to be the backbone for them. We need to be something that they can rely on and lean on and be that source of help when they need it. We are here for a kingdom assignment, and both parties have absolutely, because check this out. God showed me this yesterday also, that the two becoming one, guess what that means? The two are one. That means they're equal. One is not greater than the other, but they each hold different positions. They each have different assignments. They each have different things that they need to do to fulfill for each other and to each other. So there's this, everything is always layered. And so in this, it's that there's this magnetic pull and force that the Eve is going to feel, where she's like, I've just like, and I think the closer you get to each other, then you both start feeling it. And then it's like, once all the gunk is cleared away and God brings you together and you're like those hummingbirds, whoosh, and you have that whoosh takeoff instead of the chaos takeoff. The chaos takeoff that can happen to wake you up to like, hey, you've got dirt on the end of your magnets here. Let's clean off the dirt so that we don't collide and have chaos, but let's go seek God together so we can whoosh. And then that magnetic pole is, God, the Holy Spirit bringing you together, refining you through the fire. So what comforted me the most about this was that the Holy Spirit had to rewrite my mental mindset that said that we both had to be at a certain point in order for this to happen. And I was expecting way too much because of that expectation that I had. But when the Holy Spirit removed that expectation and showed me my rightful place and showed me what I'm supposed to be doing as a true Proverbs 31 woman and wife, and how I'm supposed to stand for my man, right or wrong, right? And to help guide him into that direction, because I am his helpmate, right? So it might not look the way that we thought that it would. So many things don't look the way that we thought that they would. But as we lean into God, as we hear his voice more clearly, I interrupted myself. I do actually want to share this. I feel like the Holy Spirit does want me to share this. That I don't know how many of you realize this, but hearing God is a call to action. Have you seen those verses? I believe it's primarily only in Revelation that it says, those who have ears, let them hear. That's a call to action. It's that if you hear me, then get up and do it. Then why are you sitting around? That means do it. And God showed me this. I'm just going to share real quick. I know those of you who are parents out there are going to get a kick out of this analogy that God showed me. But how many of you parents have been out there where you tell your kid to go do the dishes and they're like, yeah, I'll do them. And you come back hours later and they're still sitting on the couch and you're like, hey, I said to do the dishes. And they're like, yeah, I heard you. And you're like, well, if you heard me, then why are you still sitting there? Because hearing is an action word, right? So those who have ears, let them hear in Jesus' mighty name. When you are in a season of separation, as you very well may be right now, what are you doing in the waiting? Because God is trying to refine you in his fire. He's trying to purify you from the inside out. And how resistant are you to that? Stop resisting what the Holy Spirit is trying to do within you. Let him purify you and refine you, because the longer you're resistant to that, the longer it's going to take for that union to come back together. So that thing you're praying for, that thing that you're wanting to happen, is going to take longer. So it's like when they left Egypt, they could have gotten there in 11 days. Can you imagine that? Oh my gosh. And I said that at 11:11 on this recording. They could have gotten there in 11 days, but it took them 40 years. This does not have to take 40 years, my friend. It does not have to take 40 years. Seek God in all of his righteousness. Seek him every day in every aspect of everything that you're doing. You're going to falter. You're going to make mistakes along the way. We're not perfect. We're going to mess up along the way. But it's okay. It's okay, because a righteous man falls 7 times. What are you going to do with what you know now? What are you going to do with what God is directing you to do? And what are you doing in the waiting?